Start the video.
Sorry, the video is Jack.
This is Mama's math video, and next time, Mama's next math video is gonna have a thumbnail.
Yeah, we'll work on that. All right, go away. Abby, say hi.
Okay, bye. Mama's she's gonna have a game channel.
No, I'm having a gaming channel. All right. So go play quiet now, guys, so we can talk about, hi Teddy Jr., we can talk about lesson 9, which is again the same thing as we were doing before, representing proportional relationships with equations. We're going to talk more about the independent variable. Keep in mind, though, that independent is our x value, and dependent is our y value. Okay, so we're talking about some birdhouses right here. And it said that Jackson's grandfather constructed a model for a birdhouse, and the neighbors offered to buy some. And he wants to earn some money, Jackson does, for a summer camp, but he's not sure how much time it's going to take. So he said he can build 7 birdhouses in 5 hours. And we want an equation that allow Jackson to calculate the time. So in this case, which one is the dependent and which one is the independent? And they really could go either way. You could say that the number of birdhouses is dependent on the number of time, how much time he has, or you can say how much time he has is dependent on the number of birdhouses he has to build. Just because it makes more sense to me, I'm going to say that the time or the hours is the independent variable, and the dependent is going to be birdhouses. Okay, because that just makes more sense to me that the number of birdhouses he can build is dependent on the number of hours. But honestly, you can flip this one around. All right, so writing an equation, we know how to do that. We need to find a constant k. So our constant, remember, is our y divided by our x. And in this case, our y is the number of birdhouses. 7 divided by our x, which is the number of hours, which is 5. So you can absolutely leave it as 7 times 5, or I'm sorry, 7 divided by 5. If you divided that out, that would work out to be 1.4. So if I want to write the equation then, y equals my k, 1.4 times my x. As always, though, it's helpful to change our variables. So y, remember, is number of birdhouses. So I'm going to say b equals 1.4 times x, which is our number of hours. And this is the equation I'm going to be using. Okay? So by changing those variables up, as always, it helps us when we have a problem like this. How many birdhouses can he build in 40 hours? Well, if it's 40 hours, I'm going to take my formula right here, and I'm going to say 40 hours, well, that's our h. And I know that I'm going to take my 40 then, and I can plug it in here for h. So the number of birdhouses he can build is 1.4 times 40. And if you grab a calculator and do that, that works out to be 56. Okay, 56 what? Well, we solve for b here, and b represents birdhouses. Okay. Now, again, the reason switching those variables is helpful because now it wants to know how long will it take to build 35 birdhouses. Well, I have my formula. This time my birdhouses equals 35. So I know I have to plug 35 in for the b. So I'm going to say 35 equals 1.4 times the number of hours. So now I'm solving for hours. It's 1.4 times h, so I'm going to do the opposite or the inverse, and I'm going to divide both sides by 1.4. 1.4 divided by 1.4 is 1, so I have 1 hour. And if you were to grab a calculator and go 35 divided by 1.4, that works out to be 25. 25 what? Well, it's h, hours. Okay, and we could do the same thing for the bottom right here because it's asking for 71 birdhouses. So, again, using your formula, or your equation, I should say, the equation we came up with, 71 is going to be b, because it's birdhouses. And I'm going to plug that in for b right here. So I'm going to have 71 equals 1.4 times h, and just like before, this is multiplying. If I'm solving for h, I'm going to do the inverse. I'm going to divide. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other, and the number of hours equals. Now, it's actually approximately equal, we get a pretty long random decimal. So I'm going to say 50.7. I could figure out the number of minutes there. I don't know exactly how it would be, but just for the sake of time right now, and that's because that's not our focus, I'm going to say that this is about 51 hours. It take about 51 hours. A little bit less, but about 51 hours. Okay, so again, we're using more just equations, developing equations to solve, to be able to use and solve for unknown information. Let's look with one more problem. Let's look at example 2. So we have Al's produce stand, and he sells 6 ears of corn for $1.50. Barbara's produce stand sells 13 ears of corn for $3.12. So again, whenever we deal with money, remember, money is going to go on the top, and the items are going to go on the bottom. And we can also see that here, because remember, I said 95% of the time, your X value on top goes on top, and your Y value is the second row. So let's maybe we'll just focus on Al's produce stand, and to give you an idea, and you do the same thing for Barbara's. So I need to find a constant. So my K is Y divided by X. Well, my cost right here would be $1.50 divided by 6. Okay, and again, that's just the same as up here, money divided by items. So if you divide that out, you get 0.25. So it costs 25 cents per ear of corn. That's our unit rate. We can write the equation then as Y equals 0.25 our K times X, or instead of Y, let's use C for cost equals 0.25 times E for ears of corn. Okay, I don't want to use C again because I already used C once. So now I can use that to figure out the rest of these. So right here, either X or E for 14. So let's say we had E equals 14. Now I can just plug that in here and go 0.25 times 14. And if you grab a calculator and you do that, you would get $3.50. Then we could do it maybe when the ears of corn are 21. Same thing, 0.25 times 21. And when you do that, you get $5.25. Now, this last one here is when E doesn't equal anything, C does. Hi, Jack. Go play and go
I was
play.
making a fake YouTube video. Make sure to
And make
leave
sure-
in the comments. Hashtag don't Abby not real.
They want to get this video done. Go tell Abby to be quiet. Okay.
Oh, Abby, I'm gonna show Mama's new thumbnail for the next video.
Okay. And Jack's now going to get in trouble after this video. Okay. So, I'm on the wrong thing here. Okay. So this time we're back here. Cost equals $50. So C equals 50. So again, I'm going to use my same formula, but this time I'm going to plug 50 in here. So I'm going to say 50 equals 0.25 times E. Now I want to know the number of ears of corn, so I'm going to divide both sides by 0.25. Okay, that cancels out. I'm left with ears of corn. If you go 50 divided by 0.25, you get 200. And to figure out Barbara's produce stand, you would do the same thing. Figure out the K, write in the equation, and then use the equation to fill out the rest of the table.